Hi all. These are generally conversations between adults after the children have left the table. The language can be spicy and the subjects can get saucy. So if you're ready, this is the Southern Fork. Unscripted kitchen chats and also studio chats with some of the most interesting voices in the culinary South. I'm Stephanie Burt, a food and beverage writer who travels with her fork to write for a variety of publications, from magazines you might have on your coffee table to the website you love to visit for your favorite recipes. And I'm inviting you to come behind the scenes with me to get to know the people who make this Southern culinary landscape so special. I'm always hungry for the next bite, thirsty for that next sip, and ready for the next conversation. Let's dig in. The Southern Fork is presented by Townsend Automotive in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Well, it's beach season, shrimp season, farm stand season, and ice cream season, and so you know what that means. It's road trip season. I'm out on the road sharing good eats and drinks and introducing you to the people behind them. So if you're inspired to get out here too, but your vehicle is less than inspiring, please consider purchasing your next road trip ride from Townsend Automotive. Celebrating 49 years serving West Alabama, this company has been extending its reach so that you don't even have to be in the Tuscaloosa area to purchase a car from them. Nationwide vehicle delivery service is available for Southern Fork listeners, and it's something that makes buying just the right new or certified pre-owned vehicle even easier. Visit townsendhonda.com for current inventory. Or, of course, if you're in West Alabama, stop in. Townsend Automotive always salutes local entrepreneurs, from restaurateurs to podcasters, and they welcome you to be part of a community that does the same. I've been covering food for close to 2 decades, and throughout my career, most of the high-volume places I visit, and especially those in tourist areas, don't present menus that follow local seasons, feature local produce, or work with local farms. However, on Anna Maria Island, Florida, and neighboring Longboat Key, the restaurants of Chiles Hospitality Group, that's Beach House, Sandbar, Mar Vista, and Anna Maria Bakehouse, are a delicious exception. Beyond the restaurants, the company also includes Gamble Creek Farms, a certified organic farm in Parrish, Florida, that supplies sustainable farm-to-fork produce to all of the restaurants, as well as composts the food waste from serving thousands of tourists weekly. Zack Rasmussen and Natasha Ahuja are part of the leadership team of Gamble Creek, and both have extensive experience in permaculture design, as well as an intense curiosity about the interrelatedness of our natural world. Begun in 2021, this 26-acre farm is still in its infancy, but a visit to Gamble Creek is already a kaleidoscope of flavor, many ecosystems, and creative possibilities of how care for the environment and commerce can coexist instead of being a foregone dichotomy. Welcome to the Southern Fork, you two.
Hey, thanks for having us.
You know, I'm really excited. I basically just set this up so I could have a box of tropical fruits to take back to my beautiful Holmes Beach patio home for the week. And what do I have in there? Passion fruit?
Pineapple.
Some moringa oleifera seeds for planting and for eating.
Yes, and papaya.
Papaya.
Yeah.
Bangkok red papaya.
These are just a few of the varieties that are grown, and this is 26 acres, right?
Yes.
Yes,
How
it
much
is.
how much is actively being planted right now?
So we've got 15 acres of certified organic production, but we do grow on the entire 26 acres.
And so we saw the wild orange grove. And before we get into all the varieties and kind of the background, I want to know, do you have any idea how many specific different edible plants are grown on this spot?
Oh my gosh, there's got to be at least 500 different species, if not more.
Wow, that's a lot. So it's fascinating, the companion planting. You're a master of this. Y'all have figured out this kind of system that has been around since the beginning of systems, frankly. But you also talk about ecological. Will you say that term?
Ecological farming?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yes, ecological farming. So we're talking about specific micro ecosystems. So this is an ecosystem, right, Natasha?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. When you first came to this site, what did it feel like? And, because you had another business before growing and working on permaculture. So can you talk about first encountering the site as its ecosystem and how you started to learn it?
Yeah, when we first got onto Gamble Creek, to me it had a very masculine energy. It was very firm. It was strong. It was rigid. It was harsh. Lots of stinging insects, lots of stinging plants, lots of diverse weeds, heavy grasses. Now the farm has been a farm for quite a few years, but it was more of a traditional farm that slowly was moving into more of an organic farm. But
so
prior
it was more
to us,
like monocropping.
Exactly. There was diversity, but it wasn't done in the way we're growing now to really replicate ecosystems.
Yeah. How are you doing it now? You're replicating ecosystems. So I know this is like a book. And that's why I'm hesitating. But can you give us kind of the snapshot of how you decide and build?
Yes. And so we think about, ecological agriculture, ecological farming as observation. Traditional farming, monocrop farming we'd always say it's 90% implementation while you've only spent 10% of the time actually observing nature before implementing the system. Whereas ecological agriculture, it's the opposite. You're spending 90% of your time observing, and then 10% of the time is thoughtful implementation from what you found in the ecosystems. If we had a formula to follow for designing systems, I like to talk about the 7 layers of a forest. All active forests have 7 layers.
And a farm is an active forest, really.
A farm can be an active forest. It absolutely can. So we try to bring those 7 layers of the ecosystem into our gardens, into our farm. And, those 7 layers, usually it's root crops. You've got pioneer grasses and herbs. You've got shrubs and bushes. You've got small trees. You've got medium size and then large trees. And then you've got vining crops. And with those 7 species, you usually have a productive ecosystem. So we're really trying to replicate those, that function into our farm.
We try to replicate nature the best that we can. We really believe that working with nature is the way to go, and things just happen naturally. And we're doing it for our planet, and we know that our soil needs to be improved to the health, and we know it's all connected to our gut, and it really matters.
Mm-hmm. Not your gut intuition, your actual gut.
Your actual gut. Yes, the soil and all of that is connected.
So we are an ecosystem as well as individuals, right? So you're working on that. Well, Tasha, you were showing me this power of observation needs to actually also be employed because as a farmer, you are on the farm, right? And so you have to build buildings. And if you're in Florida, you definitely need air conditioning, right? So what did you begin to observe about air conditioning?
Air conditioning, it wastes a lot of water, tons of water a year. Zack had a great idea about a catchment system. So we created, with PVC pipes, a water system that can water our banana trees. We put holes, so kind of like a slow drip system. So that way all the water that's coming from the AC is actually being captured and watering our plants.
And so it's just right on the corner of this building where we're sitting in right now, which is like a regular office building. And you have other banana varieties and plants and other things all the way through. But right here, you have 3 or 4 young banana trees, and they fruited, right?
Yeah, they fruited, and all that's being watered is the AC is watering it, and it's the cleanest, purest water. So
I think it was 3 to 4 months after planting, they fruited, which I've never seen before. But that consistent water was really key to push that kind of early production.
Yeah,
and it's capturing that water and using that energy, basically. It's not a big rain barrel. It's just a little tiny pipe going to these bananas and this oak tree that you said was a symbiotic friend of passion fruit. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. We found that the passion vine and our local pioneer species, the oak, have a fantastic relationship. The first relationship is that the passion vine, of course, needs a trellis. It needs an active trellis. So the oak provides a fantastic trellis. And then the oak, of course, as it lives its life, it naturally drops leaf litter. And the leaf litter and branches that it drops, of course, draw in, as it decays, it draws in local fungus. Well, the local fungus, as we all know, creates really, really high quality soil. So that is the soil that the passion vine really wants to thrive in, is these fungal dominant soils to really achieve great production.
There's this myth in this kind of farming that we're just going to go back to the land and we're just going to we've even said those words. However, there's a lot of science, right? I mentioned this wild orange grove, which thrilled my soul because it is exactly what I imagined Florida looked like before we all touched it with our beach stores. So that is that ultimate thing for me, the mix of the palms with the other oaks and just that maritime forest. It's a very specific place. But you talked about gathering microorganisms from that space, which is just an acre over from where we were. Okay. Do you have a degree science? Talk to me about the science of that and how you figured that out.
So that's actually, there's a system that's not very well known. It's out of Korea and it's called Korean natural farming. An individual, Master Cho, created this farming system, where he studied nature, as we're talking about, and studied humans and would find the nutritional relationships, to humans and plants and how to accentuate the different growth stages. He developed a whole system on how to create these different fertilizer input amendments that not only could help accentuate these different stages of plant development, plant growth, but could also enhance human growth in those similar patterns. So one of the most important inputs he created was they called indigenous microorganisms. And you're going out into a very productive forest or a very productive area near your farm. And the idea is using a carbohydrate source to capture the unique biology from your region or that forest. So we go out to the forest.
It's like wild yeast in a yeast room in beer.
Exactly.
It's like that sour room, right?
That's it.
That Blue Jacket in DC, getting that naval
There you
air,
go.
right?
There you go. Spot on.
Thing.
Spot on. So rice works so well for this. You could also use something like cassava. You really need a pure carbohydrate. So we parboil the rice. It's put into a small cedar box, which was the traditional way Master Cho would perform this practice. And you go out to the forest and you find that spot you really feel has that vibration, that nutritional profile that you want to bring back onto your farm.
Which is, it means in layman's terms, there's a lot going on and you can kind of just feel it. If you like hiking in a forest, you can feel it. You ever been to the Great Smoky Mountain National Park? Go in there and the moss is up the trees and all this is, it's so, you can feel it. It's alive,
Absolutely.
right?
You can smell that fungal hyphae.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what I'm smelling, but it's amazing. And so you just feel that spot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we're humans. We know what that feels like.
Absolutely. Using intuition, it's so important. And then we'll kind of dig around, get the cedar box with the rice into a nice spot, cover a little leaf litter on it, and over a 10-day period, you're hoping that the local fungal hyphae is going to be attracted to the rice, and you're going to be able to capture that localized fungus and soil biology. The idea is bringing it back to your farm, put it under osmotic pressure, which is a natural pressure through sugar, and you're going to expand that biology. And once you've expanded that biology, you're going to use that as a foliar feed to your farm. So you're actually going to spray your crops, spray your farm, and you're looking to bring that unique complex forest biology into your productive farm sites.
And we all know the farms you visit, you've got that edge of the woods, right?
That's it.
Just
It's
the
true.
way it is.
And anyone can do it. An old cigar box, rice,
Yeah.
just do it.
Yeah, I love that
That's
idea. Now, this all sounds super experimental, and I know that, but this farm, as you've heard from this intro, serves 3 restaurants, right?
Yes.
On Anna Maria Island. And these are old school restaurants, y'all. And you are selling the produce. Well, there's a partnership from
Yes.
the owner, the restaurant group with this farm.
Yes.
So, can you give me any numbers, like how many pounds or production wise, different varieties? If you don't have exact ones, it's fine.
So variety wise, I mean, vegetable wise, what the chefs are getting at the restaurants, it's at least 80 different types of vegetables through the growing season that we're growing. 15 to 20 different types of herbs through the season.
Microgreens all year.
Microgreens.
Edible flowers, papaya, all kinds of things.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then now we're getting, of course, it's summertime, so we're getting into the fruit time. So as we mentioned before, passion fruit, papayas, other unique.
How do you work with the chefs? Can you talk to me a little bit about that relationship and them talking to you and asking you for things and how that builds? Because that is a vital part. This whole discussion today is about an ecosystem, and restaurant groups are ecosystems too, right?
That's it.
Our
Absolutely.
chefs are amazing. They believe in us and we believe in them, and we really work well together. Zach does a good job working with them and talking to them one-on-one. We had one chef tell us, you tell me what you grow well, and they'll plan their menu around it. We've had people tell us that. So it's nice to be able to work with them and try to make sure that we build around that.
What are some of the great dishes that you've had that you saw in the field and then got to sample?
Oh my gosh. There's one, Horatio with Sandbar. He's just such a talented chef. He was using one of his grandma's recipes. It was actually a shark empanada recipe. And, using our fresh herbs in his shark empanada recipe, handmade fresh corn masa, fresh shark, so unique and just unbelievable.
Oh, that sounds so good.
good.
So, Natasha, how do you decide what you're going to plant? You seem to have really a love for the healing properties of plants and their different attributes, correct? Edible plants.
Yes. Well, the way we crop plan basically is we try to grow things that will benefit other plants, for sure, is one thing, because we like to keep a lot of pollinators, herbs, tons of flowers. They all have great benefits for us and helps our production. Since we don't use any chemicals or pesticides and we make a lot of our fertilizer, it's important that we stick with that. So just because we have a flower doesn't mean that we just have it because we sell it to the restaurants. It has a bigger purpose for us. We do like to have crops that are going to do really well in our zone, which Zach is really familiar with the zoning. And so we work together to make sure that we pick those crops according to that as well. Mm-hmm. And then organic is a huge one for us, being that we're certified organic. Sourcing those seeds are really important. So we have to be very specific where we purchase these seeds from and, how many that we decide to keep.
So we were out and we saw pineapple. I am taking home a pineapple, Southern Fork listeners, that was grown from a pineapple top, which was a throwaway item from the beautiful beach bar from the pineapple used at the restaurant, and you planted those tops, and I'm going to eat a pineapple. So that's a regenerative moment. But in between there were 2 or 3 other plants. I think a lot of people don't understand how plants work together. Can you give us the elementary school version of that companion planting?
Companion planting, dumb it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, pollination is very important. It's essential for production. So that's one huge one.
Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, it's great we're touching on this, because talking about building, an ecological farm, it's not just about the 7 layers of the ecosystem. It's also about your support species. And, when we look at different species, we call it gilding, actually, in like the permaculture or like ecological farming world, where you pick a focus and say your focus is a banana. What in the banana's natural environment, its natural home, what would be the ecosystem forest species that are naturally growing to support a banana in its natural environment? And so we're really studying those support species that support that particular crop, to be able to accentuate its growth stages and then to be able to increase crop production. So that's one way to look at kind of companion planting, ecological farming is, the support species that are required in its natural environment.
Right. And then also they're using different nutrients, right? And so some plants put nutrients into the soil. Is that correct?
Absolutely. You have nitrogen fixing crops, you have phosphorus fixing crops.
And
Absolutely.
we've known about that for a long time. Cover crops. That's a big thing. Using that and making the companion planting useful as well is that extra layer, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for instance, is there an edible flower that you love to grow for a specific reason here at Gamble Creek?
Milkweed. We love milkweed. We planted a ton of it for the monarchs.
And I just saw monarchs on the milkweed. That was a good segue. I set them up for that one. Yes, the monarchs. I'm actually here in Manatee County, Florida this week during the monarchs migration, and the jacarandas are blooming.
Yes.
I planned well.
Yes, you did.
Because it feels amazingly like a paradise here. And you don't really have as many, you have like wasps and other things, but it doesn't feel like you're fighting nature when you're out there, right?
Right. We don't want to fight with nature. We want to work with nature.
So let's talk a minute about that working harvest. One of the reasons we went to monocrop and we went to less companion planting is because it's difficult to harvest around other plants,
exactly.
Right? So will you talk to me a little bit about those challenges? You have to go back to people, right?
Yes. That is a challenge right there. And you hit it on the head. It's harvesting. It's difficult to have a farmer, a farmhand, during harvest know exactly what to harvest where when you have all these consortiums of different crops growing together. What we do to help mitigate those issues is we have particular zones around the farm. So like I mentioned just a few moments before about gilding, we're actually doing a lot of gilding. So on one portion of the farm where you see hundreds of different species working together, we actually consider that one area is actually our banana zone. So the focus is banana production there, but we're using all of these different species that would really help accentuate the banana and themselves in that environment to have that diversity and that production. So we do have different sections in the farm that are focal points to make the harvestability a bit more manageable.
I mean, this is a rabbit hole, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you started in a different area and then you've been farming for 4 years, but you've been in the permaculture gardening world for a while. Now you're getting into this idea of really food and high-end food, heirloom seeds and that kind of thing. It seems to me that you have a large community of chefs here that you're kind of the center of as far as communication, right? You're talking with a lot of people, correct?
Yes.
So how do you find out about these varieties besides Baker Creek, which your ball cap is?
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. Just that communication. The chefs. It's amazing how often a chef has inspired one of the farmers here. A new ingredient, a new bioregion that's doing something unique with this particular crop. It happens so often. But also travel. Travel's a big one for us. We're constantly traveling. We try to travel at least 2, 3, 4 times a year, and connect with a region we haven't been to, or a region we're interested in. And we're studying the crops, studying that environment, and just trying to mine as much information as possible. It's kind of it's definitely a wormhole. Once you start, you can't stop.
I would say it's a lifestyle.
Yes,
It's not a job.
Yes,
I believe mine is also a lifestyle, not a job.
Totally.
So what is your favorite thing about farming in this region in Florida?
Oh my gosh, the
everything
diversity.
wants to grow.
Yeah, that's perfect. Exactly.
Everything wants to grow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's true. There's just so much production. I mean, the year-round productivity. I mean, it's unbelievable. There's not a single month where you can't grow something amazing. You can grow your normal stuff. We can grow all the temperate climate stuff the items that you can grow in Ohio. You can grow them right here if you get your season right. But then at the same time, in your hottest season, your summertime, you're growing such interesting things, not just exotic mangoes, but you're growing carambola, you're growing chocolate sapotes, you're growing meme sapote.
What is that cotton candy thing I ate?
Oh, yes.
I ate a lot of stuff I've never had in like the last 30 minutes.
Absolutely. So the Jamaican cherry tree, and it's native to Jamaica.
Yeah.
The variety we have here is actually the yellow Montingia, it's called, and it's a very rare yellow version of the Jamaican cherry tree. And it's got this great cotton candy profile that everyone goes crazy for.
Well,
but kids
I went crazy for it because it reminded me of my favorite bubble gum.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And there is so much to learn. So I have to ask, 4 years in, what's making you hungry? What are you interested in next?
Soil biology. Always been really interested. But now we've got a microscope at the farm now, and we're getting deeper. We're tracking numbers of nematodes, protozoa, bacteria, fungal counts. We're really trying to dive deep into the world of soil biology to understand the inputs and the compost and the things we're making are to their maximum benefit.
And I didn't even mention all of the restaurants bring their stuff here. They're including cups and straws, those things that you are always like, is this really compostable? The ones that this group uses are, because I saw them out there in different stages of breakdown. And so this is a closed loop.
It is a closed loop system. I think we really want to be a model for other farms all over the world. We want to make a global impact. So that's what I'm hungry for, is to see more and more people doing it.
With 3 restaurants connected in this way, I think it has amazing potential. What is one aspect of your job that really meshes like a puzzle piece with the natural aspect of your personality?
I'm very detail oriented. So with record keeping, QCS, organic certification, it's important that we have everything record kept. And my personality is, I'm very blunt, and I love spreading the word about everything I've learned. Anyone can do it. So I think it really aligns with me and my passion. And growing up, my parents, they didn't really know about healthy food. And my dad was in the hospitality industry and my mom in the travel industry. So it hits home for me. I lost my parents at a young age. And so learning and knowing what I know now really is amazing for me. And if I knew what I knew now, I would love to tell my parents about it. And they would be so excited to see this outcome.
Yeah. What about for you?
Nature. Being able to be in nature every day. I had this conversation with my parents actually last week. It was their anniversary, and we were just talking, just reminiscing, talking about things. And somehow we got on the subject of just me being a kid and how obsessed I was with having my hands in the dirt and just nature all the time. And I knew I was like that, but not to the degree that they reminded me. So that was really cool, is, hearing about my younger self and then seeing older Zack now and still have my hands in the dirt, just getting dirtier by the minute.
Yeah, we have a picture of him as a baby on a tractor, a little That's cute.
Yep. It sticks with you.
Yes,
Whatever
it
it
does.
is. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So is there something keeping you up at night? Quick fire.
Oh man, yeah, topsoil. I mean,
Or soil.
yeah, 50 Zach Bush, an amazing, MD. He quit his practice. Now he's traveling the world to speak about soil health because he finds it to be that much more important than impacting clients on an individual basis. And he's speaking about topsoil, and he's spot on that, we truly do have 50 years of topsoil left. And if we don't get our items in order, we're going to be having some
Big trouble.
some big troubles in the near future with growing food and human health and all related.
And we can't keep using chemicals. It's just not gonna, the outcome's not gonna be the same anymore. So
Yeah. You need
Destroying
more and
the-
more. Yeah.
Destroying the gut microbiome.
Okay. Well, I can't segue away from that. That's serious.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have this last question that I reserved just for Southern Fork guests, and that is my magic picnic basket question. And it's going to be super magic today based on the magic of this farm. I have just loved spending time with you. With this magic picnic basket, I can time travel. I can go back and ask anybody to make one more bite of something you would love to taste again. I can cook and I can source for you. But I'm going to guess that because you knew about the cotton candy tree and I didn't, you probably have that in hand. So, so instead of a death row meal, because I don't believe in the death penalty, I am going to bring you some foods that bring you life. So as food folks, I know that shifts with the seasons, with what you're eating, what you're excited about. But because you work so well together, I would love for you to build a basket together. And can you just tell me of a few things that you'd like to have?
mangoes.
Yes, but what mango?
This is half of our discussion today.
You know which mango? Malika.
Malika mango.
Malika, for sure.
It's kind of a semi-late season mango, and so we haven't gotten to eat one yet. We're not quite there. It's not harvestable yet. And then also I had my brain around the ice cream mango, which is just such a spectacular variety, and it doesn't do well in our area. It's a really small tree with really skimp production, and I've only eaten them twice in my life, and I'm hoping to eat one before mango season's up. But they're just spectacular. Yep.
Chocolate sapote.
Chocolate sapote.
Definitely.
Okay.
It
Chocolate
tastes like
pudding's
chocolate pudding, and it makes amazing brownies, and you don't even have to make anything with it. It's just so good.
Great.
Yeah, super nutrient dense, especially for a farmer, trekking around in the outdoors all day. You're tired, you're hungry, you eat a chocolate sapote and you're like, oh, wow, I can push for another 2, 3, 4 hours. It's just so nutrient dense. It feels so good. Such a great variety.
That's cool.
Yeah, what else food wise?
White pineapple.
Oh, Hawaiian white
Recently?
pineapple. Yeah.
So far we have fruit.
Fruit. Yeah, we're fruit.
So like cooked items too.
Anything, food.
I mean, so we
Yeah.
have the fruit salad taken
Yeah.
care of.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any beverage or any cooked items or perhaps a protein or carb you'd like?
Chicken biryani.
Mm.
So good.
I had a friend bring me some caribou sausage from Alaska not that long ago, and it was a very small amount, and I've been thinking about it every week since I first tried it. So I'd love some caribou sausage.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
You're into the variety. I can tell. You're just into the variety, the very specific things. Well, I am so excited to have spent some time with you. And so if listeners want to learn more about Gamble Creek Farm and the amazing things that they're growing to serve at 3 restaurants on Anna Maria Island as a partnership, you can go to thesouthernfork.com. I'm going to have links there as well as images so you can see the beautiful produce and faces behind the voices. If you like what you hear, I am going to find you a good story like this. Just you wait. So there are more than 325 episodes in the archives for you to dig in, and I hope that some of them make you hungry. I have eaten a lot of fruit right off the vine today, and I'm still hungry. So thank you so much for letting me come out on a hot July day.
Thank you so
Stephanie.
much for coming.
So great.
Hello and welcome to Talking with My Mouth Full. Anna Maria Island has had a special place in my heart for more than 20 years. I had a grand adventure living there for about a year and a half in the early 2000s and kind of being a little bit of a beach bum and running a bar program. It wasn't called a bar program back then. I was just a bar manager of a restaurant there. Was just figuring out my writing style and doing some writing while I was on the island and serving a lot of 2-for-1 drinks. But I was thrilled at the opportunity to include it in my Southern Fork summer tour. And the Chiles Hospitality Group is really one of the main reasons that I headed that way, because they are doing some really interesting things as you've heard. But another thing that I really love about Anna Maria is it has all of this mid-century residential real estate. And I'm just a huge fan of that. All of these low, small houses, and they are, they don't reach above the tree line. You don't have all these McMansions, and it really helps you keep the ecosystem in mind. You feel like you're tucked into this tropical oasis, or at least I do, that has, houses that are, painted candy colors. Of course, I lived in one of those little tiny houses when I lived on the island decades ago, but I got to go back and got to stay in a patio home, which was like a few homes surrounding a really amazing pool. So the patio home had a little bit of greenery, had a palm tree, and I had my privacy, but I could also get to know some of the other people that were staying there, met some really great folks as well there with their families. And I could, had a full kitchen and that kind of thing. My place was awesome. I love a patio home. I mean, I feel like any place like mine that had crushed ice in the door of the fridge just made it too perfect for me to get a wine slushie going before I went to the pool in the early evening. So of course, I still got a lot of work done as well, but places there are mainly residential. It is quiet. It's not known for its nightlife. Of course, you can get into things like you can anywhere, but really it's more about enjoying the island during the day. There's a lot of snowbirds that have enjoyed Anna Maria Island for decades, and places like Island Real Estate, who managed my rental. There are some other real estate companies on the island that have been there for a long time. Island Real Estate's been there, I don't know, a long, long time. And it's one of those ones that I remember from when I used to live there. So they do a great job. I really don't even want to tell you about Anna Maria because I love it so much. And I think part of the joy of the place is the architecture of these residential homes, and that they are low, small, and just are tucked into some of the most gorgeous, beautiful palm trees and other tropical plantings like bananas and mangoes and avocados. So anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I will be right here next week.
You've been listening to The Southern Fork. I can't wait to bring you more culinary conversations, but in the meantime, I have one question. Are you gonna eat all that?